We have no regrets. If you feel the need to stand or move, please do so. Number 3, the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? Warden Albright.
Thank you. I would like to add, under, if I could, for decision, award recommendation, the Argyle Township Courthouse and Jail, replacement of the roof.
That would be 8E?
8F.
8F, sorry. And that is what again?
It is the award recommendation. Our CAO is going to speak to that one,
Okay.
Late entry.
late one.
Is there any other additions? No, any conflicts or? Council Surratt?
Yeah, I'm going to declare a conflict on 8E, the proposed medical clinic.
Okay, thank you. So can we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? It is moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Foster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 4, for approval of the minutes. Are there any additions or omissions to the minutes? Councillor Foster?
I'm not sure if it's an omission as such, but I'm wondering if we should have added the fact that Bruce Hubbard was a former municipal councillor, as well as an outstanding volunteer in the community. He's identified in the minutes as an outstanding volunteer, but he also served many years on council. I believe it was around 15 years. I'm not sure if that should be added in there, but I thought it might be appropriate.
We did talk on that in the last, yeah.
By memory, I believe that was actually mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think that the minutes are the minutes, and I think Councillor Foster's observation is correct, and probably should be amended to add that.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Foster. So can we approve the minutes as amended? Okay. Number 5, staff reports. These are, we get it once a month. The only difference is on this one, the building permit has been changed a bit. I find it a little bit more, there's a little bit more information on the building report as the address and civic number, which kind of helps a bit. Anyhow, on those 3, is there any questions? Councillor Madden?
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Under the clerk's reports, if I can find it again here, the PDF on the 5, number 5. On October 30th, 2025, I made a motion to have a sidewalk looked at between Courthouse Road and Len's Corner. And under that report, it doesn't say who seconded it. Number 1, it's not a big deal. But it's gone to recreation. I wonder if we can change that to go to Kyle or operations instead. I know recreation has a lot on their books with the other 2 trails. And if it's the will of the council, I'd like to have that changed to operations instead of recreation.
Do we need a motion for that?
I think that, no, good question. Certainly I think you could instruct me to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's,
You could do
I'm
that
fine
by
with
motion.
that. Yeah, it just changed.
Yeah.
The motion doesn't change. It just to who it goes to. You've decided to go to recreation. I'd like to go
Yeah.
to operations.
I don't require a motion to change that. If it's the consensus of this group, we'll note it in the minutes that, and it will be changed accountability.
Perfect.
It does make sense because it is a capital request.
I thought so, yeah.
You're right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on those? Councillor Foster?
Yeah, I was the councillor who seconded the motion. for the sidewalk.
Okay.
I remember that quite clearly.
We will look at we will confirm that through the motion and make sure that that gets added as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we will move to item 6, 7-day notice. There is none. We'll move to old business, 7A, end of Highway 308 South, update from Department of Public Works, and this is for Councillor Foster. There is an attachment.
Yes. Yeah, just gotta find it here. Okay, I've got it. Okay, so I'm sure, no, it's on. I'm sure you guys have had the opportunity to see the aerial photograph of the end of Morris Island and the signage that is going to be put in place. So, first of all, they're going to reduce the speed limit from the existing speed limit to a 60-kilometer zone. And this will be beginning approximately 1 kilometer from the end of Route 308. And the first sign will be erected at 300 meters, indicating that the road ends. There will be a second sign at 150 meters, indicating that the road ends. And at the very end of the road, there will be another big sign indicating that the road ends. So this has not yet been implemented, but it will be implemented soon. The designing has all been done, and all the signage is in the process of being produced and put in place, and there's a nice photograph to show where things are. So I've since learned that there was another accident a few years ago. I've been told that there was 3 or 4 accidents. In one case, a few years ago, a car actually went into the water, and one of the people in the car was rescued by a local person having the seatbelt cut. So, boy, that was a scary situation. So it's good that this is being addressed. And since we're on this topic, I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The trees have been cut back at Lentz Corner. So the trimming of the trees has taken place there. So that's another safety issue that has been addressed by the Department of Public Works. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Foster, well done. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, we will go to 7B, presentation follow-up for Albert A. Pache and J. Israel Pache Monument. We had this presentation 2 weeks ago. It was deferred to this meeting as policy. And we're looking at likely or deferring this to our grants to organization, which is in a few days from now, if that is the consensus here of council. I don't think we need a motion, but if we move this to grants to organization, it'd be done pretty quick anyhow. Okay? Thank you. 8, for decision and discussion, April Executive Council meeting date change. There's a suggested motion, they want to change the meeting because of the NSFM in Yarmouth coming that same week. So the suggested motion is to change the executive meeting in April, from April 30th to April 23.
I'll make that motion.
It is a motion made by Warden Albright, and seconded by Councillor Madden. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 8B, Article P44, Salary Administration Policy. There's a suggested motion and an attachment. We've gone through this. There's very little changes. Is there any question on this before we move to the motion? Okay, there's a suggested motion to approve the amendments to Article P44, Salary Administration Policy. Do we have a mover? I'll make that. It is moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Surratt. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8C, relief of interest, AAN number 00397512 and 01332708, suggested motion to write off interest in the amount of $2,722.64 for the said property. Do we have a mover? There's an attachment on this. Councillor Bork?
Deputy Warden. I just want to know, what is the actual interest rate that's supposed to be charged?
Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you for the
CMU.
question. The actual rate that should have been charged on those loans was 4%. The way that they were coded, 13% was charged in error, which is why we have to write off the difference. We noted the error when another loan was issued for this very purpose. There were two codes, easy error to make. And so it's since been rectified, and both myself and the taxation administrator looked at this rather thoroughly, as well as the Director of Finance, and we all agreed that this is the right move. And this interest write-off is, it's to benefit the person that was borrowing the money. We were overcharging, and so it will go to the benefit. It will reduce their amount owing.
I was just wondering, what is the interest charge that we have to charge? Is it 4% or is it?
On
loans?
those, so there's two types, and this is where the error kind of came out, because if your taxes are late, it's 13%.
Okay, that's what I want.
But if you're on a dangerous and or unsightly loan agreement, you can get a lower rate and a set monthly payment.
Okay.
So when we did that, instead of putting 4, it picked up 13.
Okay, that clarifies it.
Perfect?
Thank you.
All right, yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
So it was moved by Councillor Madden and seconded by Warden Albright. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8D, request from Councillor Foster Hubbard's Point Wharf funding. There is an attachment.
Yes, there is a letter, an attachment describing the actual condition of the wharf and what it's used for. This is not a funding request as such. This is a request to refer the file to our grants coordinator to see if the grant coordinator can identify potential sources of funding that would be available through the federal and provincial levels of government. There's no specific request from the municipality. If that were ever to happen, it would have to be if funding could be obtained from the higher levels of government.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that, that this project be handed over to our grant coordinator so that he can study and see if there's any grant, any sources of grant funding that could potentially be available. Okay.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. Any questions?
The only thing I will say, when I first read it, just, and very good letter, just when I'm writing to respectfully request funding assistance for, it kind of threw me off a little bit, but now that you've added that it'll be going on, you know, to look for grants and loans or whatever the case may be, it's by all means. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a technical issue on the motion. The motion should assign that task to me.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just a technical issue. I don't want to get you in any hot water around assigning work to staff, right? So, and trust me, Counselor, it will go to Mr. Surratt. Now it's I get it. I got your intention. Just didn't want to get you in any technical. Yeah. Thank you.
So we have a motion by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Dignan. Do we have any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 8E, proposed governance model medical center. There is an attachment in suggested motion. To be clear, maybe we shall get our CAO to talk a little bit on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And we've discussed this before, and this is something that we're just trying to get better at things. And one of the things that we're all the council has all been leaning in on the possibility of improving medical services, and the community of Tuscan was certainly identified as a potential location for that. There's no approved decision in this area. But seeing as there's been a lot of discussion, planning, both here and off of camera around this possibility, and because we're continuing in negotiations in this area, we thought the best thing to do was to develop a project governance manual. What the governance manual is, it's a bit of a Bible to show how we're going to be making decisions if and when the decision to construct or renovate or whatever that decision may be for a medical clinic in Tuscan comes to fruition. So there's no denying there's lots of talk around this, and it's work that is ongoing. This manual does not in any way force you to make a decision in that area. It's that if that decision was made, this is how we're going to act. And this is something that we learned from our friend Mark Brophy, who has done project management for many, many organizations over many, many years. Very, very wise and effective person, and he actually engaged Collier's project leaders to help him in developing a governance model for the Mariner Center expansion. And you can imagine how complicated the decisions might be when you have 3 municipalities, 3 CAOs, three wardens/mayors, and all sorts of councillors and everybody in between. So that was all developed and done in advance. So and this is done if there's problems. It's one of those things where you may not really need it that much unless there's an issue. You will follow this, and if you follow it well, you will eliminate a lot of problems. And so it says, who makes the decision, how does it work, and that's the purpose of this document. So the document's rather detailed. And it does, and it can change. This is not a one and done situation, but what we want is, we want to understand that you're okay with this. I certainly am okay with this. It was well crafted, and it says who's to make decisions for what. When there's projects of this nature, you don't want too many people inputting and making decisions. So this will include, subcommittees and people on the ground making decisions, and then when those decisions get too big, they escalate to eventually council if they need be. And it's also a great tool if we have another partner. They will then see how we will be making decisions. So we're trying to get ahead of this. It's better to get ahead of this and do this and then make a decision, and then you're ready to go. Like, you're not waiting, okay? So this is us trying to get ahead of the game. If there's any questions on any of these specifics, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not the author to this, and 2 individuals far more intelligent than I am around the details of this have crafted it, but I'll do my best to answer any questions that you may have.
Councilor Madden.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. To our CAO, so this would probably be used for any expansion, building / construction in the municipality, not necessarily just for a clinic. This would be a governance for anything that we would move forward with.
The answer to that question is, this model could and would be used for almost any construction, yes. This one's tailored specific to the possibility of the construction of a new clinic, however.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? I have one for our CAO. In your chart, if you want to call it that, you got A, accountability, R, responsibility, so on and so forth. Going down the chart, you got a approved project is accountability of council. Execute lease, accountability of council. Shouldn't design be accountability of council, because design has to do with the cost? That's an accountability.
I just want to be sure that I'm looking at the same place.
This is 3.
Oh, 3. Sorry, I was on the wrong number. So under design management, is it design management?
Roles and responsibilities.
Yes. And so you're asking about design management, correct?
I'm asking that, are we as council not accountable for the design of the building? Because that relates to the cost of the building.
That's a really good question. I'm going to do my best to answer this one. So usually what happens is the top echelon, which is your decision-making, approves the projects and executes the terms of that project. The design is more the how. So I think that the answer to that is no design would ever be approved without council having some form of accountability to that. And perhaps that informed could be changed to accountable. And so if council wished to be ultimately accountable for that design, it could certainly make that decision. The reason why it isn't like that is because there's so many detailed dynamics of the design that we didn't want to, I don't want to say burden, but it's more technical than it is governance related, which is why we do that. Now, if you wanted that deeper, if you wanted a deeper engagement on that, we could amend that. However, I would recommend that if we did that, it wouldn't be the entirety of council saying, okay, we're gonna, did you put the door, 10 feet to the left or 10 feet to the right? But it's more before we actually execute the decision that you make a decision, that you approve that, as opposed to saying, I'm informed, continue. Today, right now, the way that it's written, it's us. And technically, we just have to show you that. If you want more, we can change that.
Okay, thank you. I see that Warden
But this-
Albright's itching.
That's the reasoning behind it,
Thank
okay?
you.
Yeah.
Warden Albright.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Having had some experience with the Mariner Center, and then having been in some conversations with this as well, if a clinic were to go forward, NSH has certain requirements that they have to have, right? So they will say, this needs to go in it. So we really, we have a budget. It's kind of like the Mariner Center. We had a purse of money, and we knew the scope of what we wanted, and that scope had to fit within that purse of money. And Mark Brophy was mentioned earlier. He was the one who was in charge of that, and he brought like 33% drawings, 66% drawings, then 99% drawings. He would bring those drawings to us to ensure we had what we needed in there. So for me, when I see the I feel like even with the Mariner Center, we were informed, we were not accountable. We were accountable in terms of making sure that that design met our purse of money. And I feel like, to me, that makes sense to me because it's not our expertise. It's not our area of expertise. We have say in how much money, we have the purse again, but in terms of designing a building, maybe Gordon of all of us here has some, some skill at that, but it's not our, it's not our
To give
area.
you some idea of where I was going with this, is that I would not look favorably at a building that had a steeple for aesthetics.
Right.
Totally. That's all.
I understand what you're saying. I think that it's just, these documents, we did this for the Mariner Center as well, and it's really important to know who's responsible for what. That's why things went as smoothly as they did with the Mariner Center, considering we were 3 units working together on a big expansion, because everybody had a role to play, and it was laid out, and we knew. And when I look at this, I guess I did gain some knowledge in working on these things with the Mariner Center, but I read through this and like even the change order controls, right? Above $25,000, there's a $25,000 threshold. We're informed, but we don't necessarily have any say in that because the project manager makes decisions on the ground, as Mark Brophy has done for us. So when I look at design, I understand why it's an inform for us, but we do have a purse of money that our project manager will be making sure we stay within that.
Thank you.
Councillor Warden Albright made the point on that the design is hits certain iterations. It's usually 33, 66. Like, we want you to be involved in those processes for the very reason you just mentioned. I don't think anyone wants the over construction of something, and I think that if we are to partner with an NSH in the future on something like this, that they would certainly not favor that either. And so what we can do is you're certainly welcome to approve it as is right now, along with the instruction, and I'm just suggesting, along with the instruction that maybe you want a little bit more accountability in that area. We might be able to blow that out, and it won't stop us. If you approve it with the suggested amendment to blow that out, you could do that, or you could simply, or you can accept it as is, obviously. I think that the experience is usually that even if the councillors are not passing a motion on that design, they are intimately involved in each of the iterations of that design. And that's how it happened in Mariner Center, and that's what we intend to do here, is that we'll give you, draft 1, draft 2, and then what you'll say is like, I don't like that, that's too much. And then the next one will be amended potentially for that. We're all trying to keep the costs as low as possible, so, and I know that if we're going down this road, this is a big financial commitment of yours, so I respect the fact that you want to be involved. We can blow that out if you wish, but you will be involved, I can assure you, either way, whether it's a motion or whether it's a suggestion for changes.
So any more questions? So seeing none, does council wish to make an amendment on this motion or motion as stated here?
I'm prepared to make a motion to accept the project governance manual as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, it is moved by Councillor Madden, seconded by Warden Albright. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, where are we here? 9,
My addition.
oh, I'm sorry. Which is 8F. Councillor Albright. Sorry, Warden Albright.
That's fine. So I'm going to pass this one on to our CAO. So we're looking at the roof replacement of the courthouse and jail, and we're looking for an award recommendation. So CAO Muse?
Thank you. So the information has been added on the agenda, but the refresh, you may not see that until later on, but I will go through the information for you. It is very, very short. And I can also email this at the same time, just so that you have it in front of you. Just one moment. So it's basically, and I'm gonna speak to give me time to do that. Okay. So the purpose of the memo is to summarize the proposals received for the Argyle Township Courthouse and Jail roof replacement. We did not have a budget for this passed, but we did contemplate this job as the final phase of the repairs that the courthouse was requiring. We had initially set aside an amount of approximately, we didn't know what to set aside, but initially we said $130,000 because, and that sounds like a lot for a roof, but at the same time, there were specifications on the oldest courthouse and jail that we had to take into consideration. And we know it's an old roof with some problems, so the pricing that we received here makes certain assumptions about not hitting into major difficulties. So we have to factor in contingencies in our own budget. And there's also additional costs around Nova Scotia Power because the power has to be disconnected for the work to be done. And I believe that we saw that in the painting job of the courthouse. What was that, a year ago? A little less than a year ago, perhaps? So the tender was, the attendance was, the Director of Operations, Mr. Boudreau, Marty Mallinson, and Renee Jedry were all there on 2 PM on the 25th. And the tenders, there were 3 tenders that were included. The tender prices are HST inclusive. I will, because it's a public tender, I will be telling you the numbers. Garion Construction, 62,472, East Roofing, 87,780, and NS Roofing Incorporated, 112,290. All proponents submitted the required tender forms and approved appropriate workers' compensation board clearance. In other words, all 3 bids met the obligations of our pricing. The bids were reviewed for compliance, and they all complied. Garion Construction submitted the lowest compliant bid. Their proposal confirms more than 5 years' experience with interlocking metal shingle systems, use of specified Vic West Cedar Creek Shake, compliance with the required substantial performance date of August 30th, 2026, so that is important information for you to have, valid clearance, and tender security. They meet the technical admin requirements. They are the lowest bid by a considerable amount. The full contract value has been identified within our approved capital budget, even with those other costs factored in, and therefore they recommended that the Argyle Courthouse and Jail roof replacement project contract be awarded to Garion Construction Limited in the amount of $62,472 HST included, subject to the execution of the formal agreement and receipt of all required bonds and insurance in accordance with the tender documents, which we have full expectations that will happen. So that's really the summary of the memo. It was very, very thorough analysis done by my staff. And I would say lastly that it's an odd time because we usually have a capital budget passed with an amount that would support this kind of project. If you recall, I had asked and received permission from you to go out and get prices. Was it a month ago, perhaps? It was an earlier meeting of the year, and you approved that. And so what I'm saying is if you approve the contract, what we will do as staff is make sure that that amount is in your budget for final approval. But by approving this, you're executing the project. You're actually making a commitment to spend that money. And I would recommend that you do that. And I'm here for any questions, comments, and I really apologize for the lateness, but the deadline was on the 25th, and we're trying to pitter-patter here because we want to get things done.
So we're looking for a motion? Okay, it's moved by Councillor Boudreau and seconded by Councillor Burke. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Warden.
Thank you. Okay. For correspondence and information 9A, there was a letter of support from the Antigonish Coalition to End Poverty. There's an attachment, and the town of Digby added a letter in support as well. It is for our, anybody have any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, we'll move to 9B, Nova Scotia Community Transport Network funding cuts. That's, again, this is basically about the cuts by the provincial government. That has to do especially with transportation, with seniors. Any questions on that? Councillor Digdon.
Just wondering, those cuts that they're going ahead with, I guess, is that going to have any impact with the agreement that we have going on right now with Hope, or could it have any impact down the road?
CEO Muse.
Good question, unknown at this time. What we'll do is as we go through the budget deliberations into the new year, we'll be asking those very same questions to the supplier, to the provider, and see if we can get more answers. But right now, I would say no, but I can't say that for certain.
Okay. The only thing I'm looking at, we have an agreement with Hope that really a lot of people did not know about, a lot of our residents. I put a little blurb on Facebook here a while ago. It was shared a good many times. And actually on my way up here this evening, I met the Hope van traveling down through Middle West Pubnico. Big thing I'm looking at is some of the people that are using this service is some of our most vulnerable people out there. Elderly, people with handicap, people that have no means of getting in the town or wherever the case may be for appointments. So this may be a good question also when we meet with our MLA to ask him and to see if, sometimes, as we know with governments, they'll take it out of one program, but they'll put more in another program. So I just hate to see us lose this service or any part of this service, to be truthful with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions? Okay. We will move to financial request. CFA logo renewal. We've have this sponsorship for several years now, I do believe. And it's sponsorship of the van, it's for $900. There's an attachment with a suggested motion to approve the renewal of Radio CFA for the logo on the CFA vehicle in the amount of $900 plus HST. Can we have a mover? Is there a mover for this? Any questions? It is moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Madden. Any questions? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we are now down to 11 agenda topics for next meeting or notice of motion by councillors. Do we have any? Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I'd just like, I'll probably ask our CAO to, since we're coming into finance request coming up soon, I'd like to have a policy produced regarding donations or our portion when other municipalities request funding. I know I've talked about this before, about our third. I don't think, and you've heard me before saying, I don't think we should have a third responsibility in the Argyle municipality. I'd just like to see if we can get a policy drawn up by staff that we can discuss it at the next meeting. Doesn't have to be approved, but if we could have a discussion on it, I'd appreciate it, if that's okay with the council.
CEO Muse.
We will seek to do a very high-level draft for you to discuss, because, and the reason why I say that is that I think I know what you're looking at there, and I just want to make sure that I don't go too far down the details without showing you a rough draft first. I will commit to a rough draft for that for the next meeting.
Yeah, I tried a rough draft myself, and I said, no, I'll let somebody that knows more than I do about drafting these policies. So I appreciate that, if you could come up with something and we could discuss it.
If it's the will of council, I will certainly commit to do that, and I will also say that the only thing I'll add to that is I'll try to analyze the historical types of requests that we might get, because if they're coming from a nonprofit third party versus if they're coming from a subsidiary company that we own, it might be different. So I'll try my best to draft those differences, but I fully expect you to be very critical in trying to edit it the way that you want it. Does that make sense?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Thank you for that, Councillor Madden. Okay, we are to 12 question period. Any questions? CEO Muse.
There's one question online, and it is, question, has the Municipality of Argyle looked at a potential length of time for repayment on money borrowed to build this clinic in Tuscott? I know that the two other clinics in Argyle and town were on a set repayment time. I realize it may be too early to know the answer. So I think the last part of that is definitely true. It is too early to know the answer. We're in concept stage right now, and I think I just want to be clear about that. But we want to aggressively get from concept to an actual plan. And once we get to that point, we'll be disclosing everything and so if we have partners on this, we also have to be respectful of their needs around publicity. So if there's other people involved, we have to be respectful of that. But outside of that, we're going to be as open about this as possible. This is a very, very important potential new service, and it's just a little early to answer in full. Once we get there, all the financials, this is what it looks like, this is our plan, it'll all be disclosed publicly.
Good question.
Sure is.
Okay, that's it for questions? Okay, we need a motion to go in camera.